I hope you're doing well. We know that for many, this has been a very tiring past 3 and 4 weeks with isolation and trying to be so careful if you do go outside. So we hope you're doing well. I wanted to take a few minutes here to just cover a few things that we think are important, primarily the decline and then the recent rally that we've experienced. Um, Number one, I want to say that people are feeling better now because the market has come back. It bounced off those lows we saw 3 weeks ago, approximately. But we have to think about what the possibilities of the various outcomes are at this point. And let me just say, number one, it's this possible outcome that we eventually go back down again and we hit new lows. We think this is the most unlikely of the options and things that will happen going forward. But it certainly is something that could happen, and you need to be prepared for that. We think what is more likely is either we go back down, retest the lows, and then work our way back up, or number three, we don't go back down. The worst is over. We've seen the low, and going forward, we'll move sideways, and it'll take time, but eventually we'll move up and get back to where we were a couple months ago. Overall, we are optimistic, and I will tell you the reason for that is if you look at this decline, it's very different, in our opinion, than some of the other declines we've seen. 1972, I was in eighth grade. I do remember, since I actually bought my first stock, the Nifty 50. And the Nifty 50 were, the big 50 companies of the U.S., the larger companies, and they were really getting expensive, and they formed a bubble. The bubble burst, so the Nifty 50 brought the market down, and we saw a significant decline starting in, I think it was November 1972. It lasted several years. In 2000, we saw the tech bubble, similar, but it was ugly, and many of you remember it well. In 2008, we had the credit crisis, another bubble. It burst, led over to the real estate market collapsing, and then stock market and many other asset classes. We were concerned that the banks were going to go bankrupt, and they were too big to fail. So then we come into this decline. It didn't happen because of a bubble. It happened because of a virus. And we'll see the impact it has on the economy, but you have to remember, coming into this decline, we had one of the longest economic recoveries in the history of the country. And so we're going into it with a lot of strength, and we tend to believe because of that, we can come out of better because of that. But let's talk about some of the other things that are positive. Number one, the Federal Reserve has basically said they'll give unlimited money to stabilize and help provide liquidity to the markets that need it. You've got legislation that was passed 2 weeks ago, the CARES Act, and provide trillions of dollars to many people, businesses. They're going to try to keep people employed, or they're going to give the incentive for employers, small businesses, to rehire the employees they had to let go. Very positive. We've never seen this type of money dumped into the system before, ever. And when you take a look at the bell curve, when these doctors every day I'm doing the press conferences with President Trump, they're talking about the bell curve and the models. The bell curve is flattening, and we're also seeing that the models that basically put together using assumptions are getting revised. And first we were anticipating potentially 200,000 deaths in this country. Then they said, when things were starting to flatten and look better, they said 80,000. Now they're saying 60,000, at least that's what we're hearing. So this is really encouraging. There's several reasons, why, we think you can be positive on this going forward, understanding it's going to take time. But those are just a few of them, a few of the reasons. I'll also just wind this up by saying, this is a market you want to be in, and it's the market you don't want to be in. In the near term, owning stocks or equity mutual funds, very risky because we don't know what's going to happen in the months to come. And at the same time, if you take money out of your portfolios, put it in money markets, it becomes very risky when you think about the long-term nature of your investment plan. Because the data shows us, history shows us time and time again, when you come out of the market, although you think you're going to go back in at lower prices, you typically wind up going in back into the market with much higher prices. Sometimes you don't get back in at all. And so that becomes a real problem long term. Businesses, for the most part, business as usual here. Bridget and I are coming in every day, just about every day. However, Jim and Caroline are working from their homes. When we anticipated some type of a shutdown, we fortunately updated our phone system. We quickly acted on that. So when you call the office, you're talking with Caroline in her home in the west suburbs, and then she's connecting you either to Jim in the city or here at Arlington Heights. So, that's a little different. We were doing a lot of Zoom sessions with those of you who wanted that, and we encourage everybody going forward. If you want to do a Zoom session, it works out pretty well. We're also making calls and just doing reviews over the phone, but we're trying to reach out to as many of you as possible. We think there's light at the end of the tunnel. We just don't know how long the tunnel is, or how long it's going to be before we actually see a daylight. It's been a very positive week, and we'll have to see. But don't be surprised if bad news starts coming out about the economy and the market starts to move down again. You almost have to anticipate that, and maybe it doesn't happen. The worst could be behind us. There's just different ways to view this. By the way, we're getting a lot of our information from some of the research that we look at, and some of the economists and strategists that we followed for many years. So we take all this information, we come up with our views. If you need anything, please reach out to us. In the meantime, we hope you have a great Easter. We hope your Passover is very good, and that you're able to enjoy the family either in person or through a Zoom or a FaceTime. But we'll talk to you soon, and hopefully better days are to come. Thanks so much.